Happy Monday morning, Facebook. How's everybody doing today? Man, I don't know how much of this awesome Michigan weather we're going to have and for how long, but it has been pretty sweet. Wait for a few people to hop on. We will wait for a few to join us before we kick things off. Guys, are you able to see the title in my video? My connection got disconnected. Do you see my question there to our Democrat friends? Can anybody let me know if you can see the title of the video? Hey, Lauren. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Okay. Is that a yes, Barry? You can see the title? Okay, good. So, I'm moving to Parler. Well, I'm not moving to Parler. I'm going to add Parler to my account. I hear that there's going to be a mass Parler exodus, but I do not advise that you guys click on delete your Facebook account. You still need Facebook, guys. Don't delete it. So I have a question that I want to get into this morning. This question is for all of our Democrat friends. Hey, Lynn. My friend Lynn Getz just came on. Lynn Getz gave a really good campaign to become the prosecutor of Oakland County. She's going to make a great prosecutor one day. Run again, Lynn. Run again when you can. We're all behind you here in Oakland County. So I've got a question for all of my Democrat brothers and sisters. Well, first off, let me give everybody a quick update. So today is game day, guys. Today is game day. Rudy Giuliani is heading up Donald Trump's legal efforts to question, audit, and combat the rampant voter fraud that we feel is in the process of stealing this election. And I just want to thank all of my friends in the Democrat Party for teaching us how to not accept the outcome of an election. Thanks for the free lesson on that. You gave us a 3.5-year lesson about how to not accept the outcome of an election. So now it's time to have a taste of your own bitter medicine, because we're not going to accept the outcome of this election. We're not going to go quietly into the night. We are going to challenge this thing to the highest court in the land. And we're going to do what we can to win, because we believe that Donald Trump won. We don't believe that Joe Biden won. We don't. And you're welcome, Democrats. You're welcome for the lesson that we gave you about how not to riot and how not to loot and vandalize and pillage when your candidate doesn't win. Have you noticed that there's 70 million disenfranchised Republican voters and not a single riot, not a single shooting, not a single killing, not a single business destroyed, not a single city destroyed? Because that's how we Republicans do. We love our country and we love our neighborhoods. And when our candidate doesn't win, if we feel that it was an illegitimate loss, we challenge it, which is what we're doing today. And we're going to have proof. Unlike the people who swore that Pootie Poo stole the election from Hillary, you guys had zero proof, zero evidence. And that's why Donald Trump is not sitting in a jail cell somewhere right now, because you guys had nothing on him, because there was no fraud there. You guys just couldn't accept the defeat. And that was the only way that you can make good on those false polls that Hillary was going to win 90%. That was the only way that you could explain that loss for the next 3 years. But unlike you guys, we have rampant proof of voter fraud. Rampant proof. So, I want you guys to enjoy your momentary happiness while you have it now. Just enjoy it. Enjoy your nice little pretend run of having a president project Biden. He's not president-elect, he's president project. All he is a projected winner by a bunch of fake news media outlets. So President Project Dewey, who thinks he defeated Truman, is going to be your president project president for the next 4 to 6 weeks. But once all this investigation stuff hits the fan, and it's outed with all this fraud that happens, he's going to be President Reject Biden. But he will never be President-elect. He's going to go from being president project to president reject. And we're never going to hear from Joe Biden again. That's what I predict happens. And if it doesn't happen, if I'm wrong, I will be a man and I will admit it. Because all Bobby Hesley cares about is the truth. I don't care about being right. I care about being on the right side of what's true and what reality is. So stay tuned, guys. Lots of good stuff coming. This thing is just getting started, and I think we're going to pull it off. Now, let me get to the subject matter of my video today. For all my Democrat friends, I have a question for you. Why are you so miserable and unhappy? Even now, even though you think your president-elect, your president-projected winner, Biden is president, even though you guys think that he's president, you're still not happy. You're still miserable. All I've been seeing is toxic sewage coming out of your mouths. I haven't seen any pro-Biden posts. I haven't seen any congratulatory posts for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. All I've seen is F Trump, Trump is fired, F you Republicans, orange man gone. All I'm seeing is anti-Trump stuff, but I'm not seeing any pro-Biden stuff. And I predict that even if Joe Biden wins this thing, let's say he legitimately beat us, because that's all we want to find out. And like I said in my video yesterday, that's all you should want. You should have enough pride and confidence in your candidate and in your party that you would welcome an investigation. If you truly have nothing to hide, you should welcome this, rather than telling us to shut it down before it even starts, because you want to just move on and get it over with. So, the basis of this question today, of why are Democrats so unhappy, is because 12 years ago, when Barack Hussein Obama became president of the United States, you guys were pretty happy about it, momentarily. Momentarily, you were happy about it. And he ended up being a 2-term president, and you guys were the most miserable bunch in the country during that whole time. Us Republicans, we didn't like everything Obama did. We didn't like everything he stood for. We didn't like it when he won. We didn't like it when he got reelected. But we weren't miserable and unhappy about it. But why is it that when your guy was in power for 8 years, and for the first 4 years, or at least for the first 2 years, you guys had one-party rule? You guys had the House, you guys had the Senate, and you had the White House. And he got everything he wanted. He gave you guys everything you wanted. And nothing that Obama did to refashion this country in his Marxist socialist image was good enough for you. He gave you guys everything you wanted. For example, you guys got your first black president. That's what you got. You finally got your first black president. You finally were able to be part of history. And don't get me wrong, guys. I would love to have had a first black president. I just didn't want it to be Barack Obama. And don't forget, guys, lots of Democrats were not even happy with that, because they said that he wasn't a full slave. He wasn't a descendant of full slave blood. His mom was white. He wasn't fully black. And our quote-unquote first black woman president, Kamala Harris, if Joe Biden wins this thing, she's not fully black either. She's not African American. She's Jamaican, mixed with all kinds of other stuff. So why is it that the Democrats can never put somebody in like Tim Scott or Clyburn or some of these actual dark-skinned black people that are fully black to be their first black president? They always got to be mixed. They always got to be biracial. You guys might want to examine some possible racism there. But the fact is, you got your first black president for 2 terms, no less. Not for 1 term, but for 2 terms. You got your black president. That wasn't enough to make you happy. You guys were still miserable then. Then, you got your $787 billion stimulus bill, which went to all the teachers' unions, which went to the SEIU, which went to all these slush funds and funded all these socialist, Marxist, communist organizations that you guys love. $787 billion, guys. You got that in his first term. That didn't make you happy. Then you got Obamacare in 2010, where the United States government took over 20% of the American economy and wrecked the greatest healthcare system in the world and mimicked the socialist healthcare systems that we see up in Canada, that we see in the UK, that we see in all these different European countries throughout the world. When in actuality, there was a Canadian Prime Minister named Daniel something, I forget his last name. He was from Newfoundland. He was a literal Prime Minister in Canada. And he actually had to get on a plane and come to the United States to get open heart surgery because he would have died had he stayed on the Canadian waiting list too long. People had to come to our country to get the health care that they need from other countries. So you guys got your Obamacare. That didn't make you happy. Obama increased taxes massively. And when I say Obama, I'm saying Biden too, because Biden was his little sidekick. So everything I'm saying, all these accomplishments that I'm telling you guys about, that you guys got during the Obama years, Biden was right along with him. Vice President Biden. So I'm talking about Biden too. So Biden gave you your beloved tax increases on the rich. He increased the top income tax bracket rate to 39.6%. Do you guys know when the income tax first came out in 1913? You know what the tax rate was when it originally came out? 1%. And it was only for people that were ultra wealthy. They paid 1% in their income. It went from 1% to 39.6%. It got as high as 90% under Jimmy Carter until Reagan came in and brought it down from 90% to 28%. And you guys know what happened when Reagan cut taxes from 90% to 28%? Look up the Laffer curve, Laffer curve. When the Laffer curve happened under the Reagan administration, when the top tax bracket rate went from 90% to 28%, the economy didn't crash. People didn't lose their homes. People didn't go hungry. Revenue to the IRS quadrupled. Did you hear that? When the top tax rate went from 90% to 28%, revenue to the IRS quadrupled. You know why? Because you cannot tax an economy into prosperity. You can't tax a nation into prosperity with confiscatory tax levels. So the lower taxes are, the more people are able to keep more of their own money. The fact is, the wealthy and the rich, they're the ones who create jobs. All these homeless people, all these illegal immigrants, all these poor put upon members that are at the bottom of society, have any of those people ever given you a job? I love them with the love of Christ. They're the least among us, and we have to show acts of charity. We have to feed them. But our poor brothers and sisters don't provide jobs, do they? Do they provide you a steady paycheck? No. But your wealthy, rich boss, who you hate with class warfare, is the one who provides you the paycheck. He's the one that takes the risk to start the business that you work for, that gives you your job and your paycheck. It is the rich who create jobs. But Obama taxed the rich. Did you know that the estate tax, which is the death tax, went from 0% to 55%? When somebody dies, all the money that you have left over to your estate, that the government has already taxed to hell anyway, all that leftover money that you made over your lifetime that's already been taxed straight to hell gets taxed once again on your way out when you die at the 55% tax rate. The Bush tax cuts expired, and under Obama, the death tax went from 0% to 55%. So to give you some simple math, if I died and I had $1 million to my name when I died, it doesn't matter how much taxes I already paid on all the money I made to make that $1 million. Just because my heart stopped beating, the IRS would step in and take $550,000 of all that money that I worked hard to build my life, that I could have left to my kids, that I could have given to the poor, your precious beloved poor that you guys act like you care about, when in actuality, Democrats are the most stingiest people on the planet when it comes to the poor. You want proof of that? Release the tax returns of Democrats and Republicans. Republicans consistently give 10, 15, 20, 30% of their income to the poor. Did you guys see Biden and Kamala Harris's tax returns? Your precious king and queen that think they're the projected winners for the next 4 to 6 weeks, that need Fox News and everybody but the American electorate to say that they're president. You know what their tax returns said they gave to the poor? Less than 1%. It's like Margaret Thatcher said, socialists are generous with everybody else's money except their own. Oh, Democrats and liberals, they have a real big heart. They have a real compassionate, generous heart with everybody else's money. But when it comes to their own, they would put Ebenezer Scrooge to shame. So you guys got your beloved tax increases under Obama Biden. He passed the Wall Street reform with the Dodd-Frank Act that supposedly punished the rich and wealthy 1%. You guys remember the Dodd-Frank Act when he stuck it to the rich? You guys got your Dodd-Frank Act. You were miserable then. You weren't unhappy when that happened. He pulled out of Iraq. Get that. He pulled out of Iraq after 8 years from 2003 to whenever it was that he pulled out of Iraq. All that time we were over in Iraq, he pulled out of there. That didn't make you happy. You remember how much you guys hated the Iraq war? Bush lied, people died. Well, he put an end to your little Bush lied, people died Iraq war, and that didn't make you happy. And not only did Obama pull out of Iraq, but he chopped our military down to size. He sequestered our military to the point where we were one of the only militaries in the world that didn't have ammo. Did you guys know that when Donald Trump became commander-in-chief and he took over the U.S. military, that when Trump inherited the Obama-Biden military, we had no ammo, guys. Our soldiers didn't have ammo to defend themselves. Our soldiers didn't have enough ammo to defend us Americans. Because I guess Obama figured that if they encounter a terrorist out on the battlefield, that they should sit him down and talk to him about climate change and see why he's so angry. Maybe they should have an army of lawyers and therapists when they encounter these terrorists, and they can sit the terrorist down and try to peek into his childhood and ask him, why is he willing to blow himself up because his daddy didn't get him the Schwinn bicycle when he was 2 years old? Does he have father issues? Does he have mommy issues? Is he disenfranchised because of climate change? These things need to be talked out with these Allahu Akbar terrorist soldiers. You don't kill them. Well, Obama did all that. That didn't make you guys happy. You got your 2 female Supreme Court nominees. You got Elena Kagan. You got Justice Sotomayor. He filled 2 seats, not only with liberals, but with female liberals. Ruth Bader Ginsburg wannabes. He gave you your 2 liberal Supreme Court justices. Did that make you happy? No. Were you still miserable when that happened? Yes. You got your gay marriage passed. You were finally able to codify and legalize the destruction of the nuclear family, of a marriage between one man and one woman on June 28th of 2015. And not only did you get your precious same-sex marriage passed, which was a milestone, which was a quote-unquote civil rights milestone for your side, but the White House even rubbed it in our Judeo-Christian faces by blazing up the White House with rainbow lights. But I want to ask you guys a question when it comes to gay marriage. Why is it that when it comes to traditional marriage between one man and one woman, that marriage is just some meaningless piece of paper? That marriage is something that oppresses women, that holds women back, that keeps them stuck in the old archaic days of old, where the only thing that they're good for is being barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen under the authority of their jerk husband. Why is that what marriage is when it's between a man and a woman? But when it comes to gay marriage, all of a sudden, it goes from being some oppressive, meaningless piece of paper to a civil right that needs to be proclaimed from the steps of the Supreme Court. Answer me that. If marriage is just some meaningless piece of paper like you guys have been trying to make it out to be, why was it so important for you to get your gay marriage legalized? Isn't that just a meaningless piece of paper? How come Jerry and Ronaldo can't just, keep shacking up? Why do they got to make their kissing legal if it's just a meaningless piece of paper? You're a little bit inconsistent with that. I'd like more of an explanation on that. So you got your gay marriage. While we're on the topic of gays, and I love my gay brothers and sisters, there's no judgment there, it's just observation. I don't agree with that lifestyle, just like you don't agree with my heterosexual lifestyle. We'll agree to disagree on that. But while we're on that topic, you guys got your precious don't ask, don't tell reinstated in the military. You guys know what don't ask, don't tell is? Look it up when you get a chance. Don't ask, don't tell allowed gays back into the military. And don't ask, don't tell was basically don't go around proclaiming your gayness to everybody, but it's okay to be gay too. Just don't ask, don't tell, right? So Obama brought that back. He also allowed transgenders to enter the military and also get benefits, military benefits, to pay for their reassignment surgery, their gender reassignment surgery. You guys got that too. Did that make you happy? No, it didn't. You were still miserable. You were still filled with rage and anger and hatred and division and divisiveness. He weaponized the EPA against various industries like the energy industry. He shut down oil production. He refused the Keystone Pipeline, which would have brought gas prices way low. He weaponized the EPA to give you some precious climate change legislation. These are all things Biden did. Again, Biden was along for the ride. Sidekick Biden for 8 years. He was vice president. So anything I'm saying about Obama, I'm saying about Biden. President Project Biden, who will soon be President Reject Biden. He ain't president-elect yet. Even if he clearly won this thing, the President of the United States is not certified until December 14th of that election year. So cool your horses, guys. He ain't won yet, and this thing is far from over. So what about the EPA? What about all the climate change? What about the Paris Accord that basically chopped the U.S. down to size with the G20 nations, all in the name of climate change? You guys got that too. Did that make you happy? I don't think so. He became friendly with socialist, communist Cuba. He became pals with Fidel Castro. He reopened diplomatic relations with Cuba that haven't been open since JFK was in office. He allowed travel to and from Cuba. Did that make you guys happy? When he buddied up one of the most brutal dictators of the 20th century and tried to turn him into an ally, which naively, obviously he would not be an ally, he would be an adversary. So how did you guys feel about that? I'm sure if Che Guevara was still alive, Obama and Barack and Michelle would have had him to the White House to hang out with Jay-Z and all these other people that used to come to the White House. I'm sure they would have loved Che Guevara. I'm sure if Stalin was still alive, he'd have tried to open up some kind of diplomatic relations with Russia. Did that make you guys happy? When Fidel Castro was given a pass for all of his atrocities that he committed in Cuba to Latinos, did that make you guys happy? No, it didn't. Speaking of immigration, speaking of people who come from Cuba, did catch and release make you guys happy? When Obama and Biden instituted the catch and release program, where basically if somebody showed up here illegally, they catch them and then they release them. By the way, these cages this whole narrative of kids being locked in cages, when Democrats like to give lip service to loving children, these same children that they make sure are able to be torn limb from limb in the womb, have their skulls split open and their brains sucked out with a vacuum cleaner. Those same kids that you guys claim to care about, you can abort them. You can slice and dice them in the womb and sell their body parts on the black market. Oh, you're all game for that. As long as you don't put them in cages. Just keep the kids out of the cages, but keep them out of the damn wombs too. Make sure they don't make it out of those wombs alive. All those cages that you guys were crying about Trump putting kids in, guess who they were built by? They were built by Obama. They were built by Joe Biden. That's who they were built by, guys. And the fact is, Barack Obama deported more illegal aliens and put more kids in cages than any other president in history. Look up the Flores Amendment. That's all I'll say about that. Look up the Flores Amendment. I don't have time to get into that. Trump comes in and he fixed that problem. The problem that you guys were presented is we can't have families separated at the border. We just can't have families separated at the border. So Trump said, okay, let's fix that problem, Democrats. I'm going to fix your little problem that keeps you up at night of families being separated at the border. And I'm going to build a 760-mile wall around our border. So that way we can keep these families together and they can't get into our country. We're going to deter them from illegally entering our country, and now they can stay together in Mexico or wherever else it was they're from. There's solving your problem of keeping families together. But I don't think you want it solved that way, because you don't care about keeping families together. If you truly wanted to keep families together as badly as you guys were saying, why did you have such a problem with the wall? Isn't that the best fix? Think about it. Think of everything that an illegal immigrant family has to go through in order to get here illegally. Think of all the risks they have to take. Did you guys know that mothers would put contraceptives? They would literally put up a little contraceptive care package, I'll call it, for their 13-year-old daughter. They would literally put together contraceptive care packages for their 13-year-old daughters. They would have their daughters swallow birth control pills. They would have their daughters have some RU486 morning after abortion pills in their backpacks. Little 13-year-olds who should be listening to Taylor Swift and playing volleyball. But now they got to have all these contraceptives and abortifacients on them just in case, on their way to get to this country illegally, they get kidnapped and raped. And if these little girls get raped, they were on birth control pills so that babies wouldn't have babies. That's what these illegal immigrants were facing, guys. These coyotes that were bringing them across the border. Drug mules, drug traffickers, human sex traffickers. Everything that they had to go through to get across this border. And the fact that we put a wall up that would stop and deter all of that, you guys had a problem with that. Because you guys want a new black vote. That's why you cared about the illegal immigrants. Because if you truly cared about the illegal immigrants, you'd be happy that the wall was up. Because now they're not even going to bother coming over and they'll stay together. Listen, a family together in a communist country is better than a family being broken up in a free capitalistic country. So we solved that problem. But you guys still weren't happy about that, were you? Not at all. So in spite of all that, in spite of everything that I just read, here's what started on Obama's dime, not on Trump's dime. When you guys got everything you wanted for 8 straight years, Black Lives Matter was born. You guys got to remember, Black Lives Matter Incorporated, that thing didn't start under President Trump. President Trump was still filming his Apprentice reality TV when Black Lives Matter started back in 2012. Black Lives Matter started on Obama's dime. All this racial tension in the U.S., all this Black Lives Matter, all this no justice, no peace, all this stop shooting us, stop killing us, black men are endangered species, that all started under our first black president. Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, Tamir Rice. All of that was on Obama's dime, guys. All of that was under our supposed racial healer, Barack Obama. That didn't start under Trump. That didn't start under Republicans. That started when the Democrats were running everything, guys. You guys were so unhappy, even though you got everything you wanted, that you started Black Lives Matter. That's what happened, guys. How about Occupy Wall Street, when New York was taken over for the entire summer of 2012? That all happened during Obama. That class warfare, that communist socialistic warfare, that all started under Barack Obama, guys. And that was after the Dodd-Frank bill. That was after Obamacare. That was after the largest tax increases in U.S. history. Everything you guys wanted to punish the rich, everything you guys wanted to fulfill all of your class warfare wet dreams, none of that was enough to prevent the Occupy Wall Street movement. Nothing makes you guys happy. You're a bottomless pit of unfulfilled expectations. And there's no amount of socialism, there's no amount of Marxism, there's no amount of whatever other ism you can throw in there that makes you guys happy. What does it take to make you Democrats happy? And believe it or not, even though us Republicans were disenfranchised for 8 years under Obama Biden, even though we were watching our beloved country be torn in half by all these racial divisions that started under Obama, that he actually stoked, that him and Eric Holder actually stoked and made worse, we were happier than you guys. We were living our lives. We were loving our families. We were loving our God. We were loving our guns. We were loving our babies. We were loving our businesses. Life went on for us, even though we weren't happy with what was going on. And we would show up during the midterms, and we would turn out, and there would be a red wave, so we can keep your guys' power in check. We gave it a college try in 2012 with Mitt Romney. He was a crappy candidate, but we did what we could to unseat a sitting President Obama. We failed, but you know what? Life went on for us. And I predict that the same thing is going to happen if Biden wins. I predict that you're going to get Joe Biden if that happens. You're going to get your first black female president, because that's what will happen if Biden gets in there. You're going to get everything you think you want. And you're going to be more miserable and more unhappy than you've ever been before. That's what I predict if Biden wins. If your man gets in there, it ain't going to make you guys happy. Now I'm going to tell you why I believe Democrats are perpetually unhappy, and why it's impossible to make Democrats happy. And Democrats, feel free to disagree with me if you want. Let's get a conversation started. Let's get some dialogue started. The Democrat Party itself, the platform of the Democrat Party, needs and requires for its members, voters, supporters, and constituents to be unhappy. That's part of the job description. Just like you have to be, let's say you wanted to work for some kind of financial firm, you have to have certain characteristics in order to qualify to work there. You have to have your Series 7 license. You have to have a basic knowledge of economics. You have to have a degree in finance. You have all these different qualifications that you have to have in order to work there, right? Well, I believe that you also have to have qualifications to be a Democrat. And the qualifications that you have to be and vote Democrat is you have to feel like a victim. You have to feel disenfranchised. You have to feel that life is not fair. You have to feel like the world is against you. You have to feel like you're underprivileged. You have to feel like everybody is out to get you. You have to feel like that there's systemic racism, that there's systemic sexism, that there's climate change, that there's white supremacy, that there's white privilege. You are required to be a victim in order to be a Democrat. You are required to feel that things are owed to you by people who have nothing to do with why you should be owed something. You are required to be unhappy. You are required to be all those things. Or you're not going to fit in the Democrat Party. You're not going to belong in that party. And as a matter of fact, they're not going to want you in the party. They only want unhappy victims as part of their party platform. That's who their constituents are. The Democrat Party needs a permanent underclass in our country. Otherwise, they have no power. They have no job. They need a permanent underclass. Look up the saying of Frederick Douglass, who was a Republican ex-slave. He was a black intellectual. And Frederick Douglass said that there are certain types of Negroes, that there are Negroes who stand to lose their jobs and their livelihoods if the Negro were to make progress. And that's true. Look at all the millions upon millions of dollars that race hustlers from the race grievance industry have made. Think of how rich Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton were able to make themselves off of stoking racial flames. They became professional bullies to where they can shake down companies and say, listen, we're going to come after you. We're going to destroy your reputation. We're going to sue you unless you pay me off. And if you don't pay me off, I'm going to brand you as the worst devil racist there is, and your business is going to fail. This is how these race hustlers have enriched themselves, because they need a permanent underclass of victims. The Democrat Party needs a large group of perpetual, pissed off victims. Otherwise, they have nothing to run on. They have nothing to stand for. They need you guys to be unhappy. They need you guys to be unmiserable. And I have seen people vote Democrat their whole lives, and they're some of the most miserable people I know. They're never happy. They're never optimistic. They don't smile that much. They're always pissed off. They always feel like there's a victim of something. They're always pumping their communist fist at something. Guys, never ever pump your fist like this. Never ever hold up your fist like that. You guys know what the symbolism is behind that fist? That's the communist fist, dude. You're promoting Marxism and communism when you pump your fist like that. You'll see it on the Black Lives Matter logo. You'll see it on different feminist logos. You'll see it on different LGBTQ logos. That's a communist gesture. Even the Black Panthers did it. Don't pump your fists like that, guys. Study the history behind that. I'll do a whole podcast on the history behind the communist fist. And I've seen lots of black Christians pumping their communist fists. And I think they're doing it out of ignorance. I think if they truly knew the history behind that, like if you were to see me go like this and start goose walking, what would happen? What would happen if I went into a room and I went like that? There's a lot of history behind that gesture. I'm saying Heil Hitler when I do that. Well, when you pump that communist fist, you may not be promoting fascism, but you're promoting communism when you do that. There's lots of bloody history behind that communist fist, so quit pumping it. Or if you're gonna pump it, at least do it on purpose and educate yourself as to why you're doing it. Just be honest and say that you're a Marxist communist. Communism has led to the death of over 100 million people, mountains of bodies and rivers of blood. And the symbol of that movement is that fist. It's one of the most anti-Catholic gestures you can ever make, because communism has severely persecuted the Catholic Church. It continues to do it this day. I predict that if us Republicans lose this election, that we're going to be happier than you guys. We are going to be more at peace than you guys are. We're going to live happier and fuller and more productive lives than you guys will. Because I've seen what 8 years of getting everything you want from Joe Biden as vice president, but not much is going to change if he becomes president. I've seen what 8 years of unchecked power and all of your Democrat, socialist, climate change, class warfare dreams coming true. You guys were extremely unhappy during the 8 years of Obama. So much to the point where if you look at the 2012 Electoral College scorecard, Obama got less votes. He got reelected, but he wasn't reelected as strongly as he was when he first got elected. Unlike Reagan, who when he got reelected blew away his numbers on his first election. So you guys were even unhappy with Obama and barely reelected him. And if Mitt Romney would have been a better candidate, we probably would have unseated Obama. We just had a crappy candidate, that's all. But that's my prediction, guys. My prediction is that if Joe Biden wins, Democrats are going to be very unhappy because they belong to a party that requires them to feel like a perpetual, put upon, disenfranchised, discriminated against, victimized victim. And I will never sign up for that. I will never, ever vote Democrat. I have never voted Democrat, and I don't plan on starting to anytime soon. Aside from the abortion issue, aside from the life issue, that's why I can't vote Democrat. Because I feel like I would be emasculating myself. I believe that if you're a man, especially if you're a black man, one of the most emasculating things that you can do is to vote Democrat, but also to support Black Lives Matter. If you support Black Lives Matter, the organization, and you're a heterosexual black man, you are engaging in a form of self-hatred, because the 3 feminist founders of Black Lives Matter hate heterosexual black men like me. Heterosexual black men like me are public enemy number 1 to Patrisse Cullors, to Alicia Garver, to Apol Tomatic, the 3 founders of Black Lives Matter. They hate heterosexual black men like me. They hate the black father. And they even had on their website, before they smartened up and changed it, that they want to destroy the Western prescribed nuclear family. They don't want the black father in the home because they're feminists who hate the patriarchy. They are an LGBT trans movement. That's what the Black Lives Matter movement is. That's what they're all about. And feminism is behind all of it. And I truly believe that transgenderism, that whole movement, is the stepchild of feminism. Because the end game of feminism is to destroy relations between the sexes. The end game of feminism is to turn women who should be sweet, humble, and docile into aggressive, masculine men. And the flip side to that is that the end game of feminism is also to turn men into soft soy boy beta wimps. That's what the end game of feminism is, to turn men into women and to turn women into men. But that's only as far as traditional roles go. But the end game of the trans movement is to literally turn women into men, to literally turn men into women. That's what the game is. And it all started under Obama. And it all progressed and flourished under Obama. And yet the people who support those movements are more unhappy and more pissed off than they've ever been. That's just a fact, guys. That is a fact. So I'm going to wrap things up here. President-select, President Project Biden will be President Reject Biden, because this thing is not going to get certified. We're just getting started, guys. Hang in there. Do not lose hope. Do not lose courage. We're going to win this thing, guys. And if we don't win this thing, because I'm just being realistic at the same time, I'm not going to have, this cocky, arrogant hubris that we're not, that we could lose, guys. These all might end up being legitimate votes. I don't think they are. Or let's say we're unsuccessful in the courts. There's a possibility the Supreme Court won't even hear the case and Biden has won. Okay, so Biden wins. Yay. It's not going to direct the course of our lives, guys. We refuse to allow who's sitting in the Oval Office to determine how happy we are. Why? Because we're not Democrats. That's the Democrat way. The Democrat philosophy is your destiny hinges on who's in government. Because the Democrat philosophy looks to government for happiness. The Democrat Party looks to government for the future direction of your life, for the destiny of your life. The Democrat Party is the party of government. They're all about big government. The Republican platform, we don't look to government. In fact, the less government we have, the better. Less is more. When you're a Republican, when it comes to the government, less is more. Because less government means less taxes, less government means less regulation, less government means less meddling in our lives and treating us like we're children under a nanny state that needs to supervise and micromanage every little aspect of our lives. And I invite you Democrats, who I'm sure are pretty angry at me right now, but I would challenge any of you Democrats to disagree with anything I've said. When this video is over and it populates and it produces and renders, go back and watch it from the beginning and follow me through my list. Follow me through my litany of all the accomplishments and all the progress you guys were able to make under Barack Obama. I challenge you to disagree with a single fact that I gave. Those are all facts, guys. Those are all facts. And yet, in spite of getting everything that you guys wanted under Obama Biden, you were the most unhappy people in the country. You were rioting back then. You were burning things down back then. You were chanting no justice, no peace back then. All the things that you guys were doing in the post-George Floyd world this year, you guys been doing for the last 8 years under Obama, even though he was giving you everything you wanted. So I challenge you to take self-inventory, look on the inside and ask yourself, why are you so unhappy? Why are you so vitriolic? Why are you so toxic on social media, even though your guy just won? Even though everybody is saying that Joe Biden won, why am I not seeing any happiness from Democrats? It almost seems like you guys are more pissed off than ever before. I've heard some of the worst things I've heard against Trump and his supporters in the last few days since they called the election for Biden than I've heard the whole time Trump was in office. Why is that, guys? Why are you so hard to please? Why do you get angry when you get your way? All these things that you say you want, why does it piss you off when you get it? I really want to know. I really, truly do want to know that. Why are you such a bottomless pit of entitlement and expectation that cannot be fulfilled or satisfied? I'd really like to know the answers to those questions. So I thank everybody for tuning in and hearing my thoughts as I go out and walk. I want you guys to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Find me on Twitter, find me on Instagram. I got a lot of good stuff coming down from the pipe, guys. I love all of you. I'm in this thing with you guys. We're all in this together, guys. We're going to win together. And if it ends up being God's permissive will, for some reason only known to him, we'll lose together. And even though it'll suck to lose, at least we're losing together, guys. At least we have each other. You guys have me, and I have all of you. And I'm going to be your voice of hope and reason and encouragement and optimism for the next 4 years if our side loses. I'm looking forward to that honor. I'm going to help you guys get through it. And believe it or not, you guys are going to help me get through it too. Because that's how we roll. That's how us Republicans and conservatives and patriots roll. We come together. We're a people of family. And we stick together. And we make an effort to be happy and satisfied with our lives, regardless of who's sitting in the White House. So have a great day, everybody. Please, if you're in Michigan, please get out and take advantage of this awesome weather. Please do that, guys. Don't sit in the house all day watching the news. Don't do that to yourself. Don't torture yourself, okay? So I will see you guys soon. I love you. God bless you. And we will catch you on the next video. Take care, guys.